Welcome everyone. In case you're new, this is our live Q&A. This is where you can ask any of your health or fitness questions and we will answer as best of my ability. If you're watching on the replay, you can still feel free, throw your questions in the comments. We'll pick it up on the next week's live. If you have questions, but maybe don't want the question in the chat, you can always private message us. If I don't see it while we're live, we can cover it either next week or we can have a separate sidebar conversation, whatever you prefer. So what I wanted to kind of open with today is kind of a thought shift when you're starting a new program. It's really, really common when people come in or are trying to start things on their own. It's easy to look at what are the things that I'm not doing that aren't fun? What are the things I'm doing too much of that are fun? And I want to challenge and look at, what we can have more of in a couple different aspects. Just because if we focus too much on the first two things, we can get into a real depraved and constricted mindset to where we're not enjoying anything anymore. And you can only last so long with that mindset and still stay on track with the changes that you're trying to make. So one of the first things that I would say to look at, let's look at food as the biggest thing, because one of the most common things is I see people, hungry because there's just not enough food because they've eliminated calorically a lot of the food because of how calorically dense it was. So now they don't have enough at their meal. So what I recommend looking at is adding, what can you add in that has a lot of volume for very little caloric load. Typically, this is going to be in the form of your vegetables. Pick ones that you like. It doesn't have to be, a superfood or, whether it be, kale, Brussels sprouts, beetroot, the things that pretty much all of us associate with, not enjoying growing up as far as vegetables go. It doesn't have to be those vegetables. Is it great to have some of those superfoods throughout your week? Yes, especially in the aspects of health and nourishment and nutrition. But if your primary goal is I'm trying to control how many calories I'm taking in, but I'm struggling because there isn't enough to fill me up, our big concern is just volume. How much food can we get on your plate so you can still feel satisfied with how much that you had without overdoing it calorically? And vegetables are the real go-to there. So identify things that you enjoy, that you like, or at least don't mind that much, that give you that volume of food with a very small caloric load. I'll give you a personal example. I I wouldn't say that I enjoy canned green beans, but I can tolerate them pretty well. I'm not going to get overly bored with it too often. So that's usually my go-to if I'm trying to add a kind of high volume filler that doesn't have a lot of calories per serving in it. That way I can still have the cut of meat that I want. I can even have some of the carbohydrate that I want, but there's enough filler with that vegetable so that I can feel satisfied with what I've had. So that's one area where when I'm talking about what else can we add to still bring fulfillment and enjoyment, or at least satisfaction to your life, rather than only focusing on things that we take away. Another thing that I would say looking at to add is things that you enjoy doing that get you moving. So it doesn't have to be, the workout in the gym. It doesn't have to be, traditional cardio of just going for a run for run's sake. It can be, taking your kids out, everyone on a bike ride. It can be everyone going to the park. You can play tag. You can play other games. Just doing more that gets you up, moving around. You can have a dance party at home. more of that is a great way to still be in line with what you want to accomplish with your goals for better health, better wellness, better fitness, but also adding more enjoyment to your life rather than one more thing that feels like it's either taking away or it's a chore to do. Um, that's a big aspect to look at. Other things like that, as far as what do I need more of? Maybe it's more um, time in the evening to wind down so you can actually get to sleep at an appropriate time, and looking at what things do you enjoy that help you wind down. Obviously there's a balance there because we don't want to do a bunch of things that you enjoy but they wind you up. It's got to be things that you like to do that help kind of calm you down. Maybe it's reading, maybe it's taking a warm bath, maybe it's if you enjoy meditation, that's a great time for you to put it in there to help kind of bring you down and mellow you out. um, Whatever it may be. Maybe it's just simply creating a family agreement where there's no more screens after a certain time period. That way no one's tempted, no one's kept up trying to watch one more episode or a few more minutes of a movie. um, Little things like that, that we're doing things that we still enjoy, but we're instilling good habits in the grand scheme of things that are still going to support our health and wellness goals along the way. um, it's always a big thing that I try and help clients kind of shift perspective with, because otherwise when we're starting these things, all we're looking at is I'm adding a whole bunch of chores or things that I don't enjoy doing, i.e., cleaner eating, more cooking, more food prep, more time in the gym than what I was doing before, and I'm giving up foods that I like to a certain extent. I'm giving up time that I can watch more shows or play more video games or whatever else it may be. So finding things that you can do more of that you enjoy, that either the something that can bring satisfaction, something that can bring more enjoyment, something that can bring more peace, rest, things of that nature, where you can really see what you're getting out of it with that immediate investment. It's not something like workouts where you've got to wait a few weeks to see what that payoff is. Those are great things where you get a lot of wins kind of stacked on top of each other, where we're doing something good for us, but we're enjoying what we're doing. We're enjoying putting that time in for it. We're enjoying, or at least being more satisfied with some of the changes that we're making, instead of being stuck in kind of that depraved, constricted, restricted mindset that I know from experience too many people often fall into whenever they start trying to make better health and wellness choices for their lifestyle. I hope that helps everyone. If you have any other thoughts, questions, further thing, feel free to throw them in the chat. Otherwise, we'll see you next week. Just be sure to maintain your consistent, persistent pursuit of better health and have a great week.